We are 7 meters underground. We have here ICU, operating room, and beds.
And the roof of our sports hall, if you can see, was also hit by a missile.
We expect the worst, but we hope for the good.
We believe in a better future, and we believe in victory for our Ukraine.
We are sad because war never brings joy. It brings sadness and pain.
We will win, of course. What else is there to think about?
The physical destruction of war is hard to comprehend. What were once people's homes now practically lay in rubble, burnt, bombed and destroyed. We're here in the town of Borodankia, and as you can see, these apartment blocks have been completely and utterly destroyed by the Russian tanks and the bombing. You can see half of the building has collapsed. The apartments that are still standing are completely burnt out, and there's just a row of this all down through the town. But it's the human toll of this war in Ukraine that is most inhumane. It's heavy. Yegor is a 19-year-old Ukrainian soldier, and a few months ago he lost his leg after stepping on a mine in the Donetsk region. What do you remember from the moment when you stepped on the landmine? Were you knocked unconscious, or do you remember what happened?
Yes. I remember everything. Every minute, every second. I remember flying through the air and landing on my back. I looked down and saw that my leg was missing, and I realized I had stepped on a mine. Well, my first thought was to shoot myself, because I didn't want to be captured by the Russians.
Yegor was found by his fellow soldiers, and today is his first day with his new prosthetic leg. And as demand for these prosthetics are so high, they're being made right here inside the hospital. And under the hospital in the basement, they've built new wards and even an operating theatre in the event the hospital is struck by missiles.
I want to return to the front line as quickly as possible and join my boys to help protect Ukraine.
Yegor's unbroken spirit is impressive, but with the bitterly cold winter ice seen over Ukraine, the next few months are going to be tough for the people here. Today I'm travelling with the Catholic organisation, the Order of Malta, as they deliver aid to this psychiatric hospital outside the capital, Kiev. Earlier in the war, this hospital was taken by the Russians, and the vulnerable patients were held hostage.
The patients helped each other to survive in this situation. For example, they made fires outside so that they could cook food, because there was no other option. The Russians were there with their weapons, all around the hospital.
A nearby school was also taken by the Russians. The soldiers sprayed "Moscow is victorious" on the walls of the corridors. They painted their famous V symbol in various places, and in some of the classrooms, they even drew sexually explicit images depicting small children.
They completely burned 2 classrooms into ashes and smashed all the desks and other material. It was terrible. And they wrote on the walls and on the tables. And the roof of our sports hall, if you can see, was also hit by a missile. That too remains demolished.
The Order of Malta and Maltese Relief Service have been working around the clock to provide supplies to the hardest hit areas. Pavlo Titko is the head of Malteser Ukraine.
The situation here has really changed because Russia is beginning to target their missile strikes at energy systems. At the beginning of the war, we helped people with food and medicine. But now, today, what people need is electricity and heat. So we are bringing power to people by distributing mobile generators and other supplies.
In this coffee shop in the capital Kiev, The power has been out all morning. Its owner, Alexander Prokorenko, and the staff have been trying to do the best they can with no power or heat.
So now we have, as you see here, the electricity cut out. Well, it usually happens every day for 2 and 3 times per day. So we can be out of electricity for 2 hours, and it can be for a whole day. We never know.
His business is down 75%. He's only really staying open so the staff can keep their jobs. But how much longer they can go on like this, he's not sure.
Now we're not talking about the business. We're talking about just, survival.
In the cities, at least, they have some diesel generators and can support each other. However, the further you travel into the rural countryside, the more isolated and bleak the situation becomes. I'm travelling with the Order of Malta in a secret convoy to the north of the country to deliver supplies to villages close to the border with Belarus. This is a risky mission as we will be just kilometres from where Russian forces are situated, and so everyone is on high alert. As the convoy pulls up to the first village, you get a sense of what life cut off from electricity is really like. There are no street lights, no light from the houses, and no mobile phone signal at all. Sofia Maihal is the coordinator of this humanitarian mission.
We are distributing our goods, food to people from the list.
And the people here, as we can see, have no electricity, no telecommunications. They're completely cut off and isolated.
No light, no electricity, no heating, nothing, no communication.
A woman goes from house to house, telling the locals that supplies have arrived. It's dark and bitterly cold.
Things are not good because I have 7 children, and so it's very difficult. We have no power, no connection, no phone. We have nothing here.
For those with young families, they are finding it very difficult. Others are putting on a brave face.
You can get used to the power cuts. You can have a longer rest after work. Victory will be ours.
Well, of course we're worried, but we have to get through this. And here in the village, we will still celebrate Christmas.
Since the war started, 9 million Ukrainians have left the country, while others have become internal refugees. Many of them have ended up here in the city of Lviv in the west of Ukraine. This office building has been converted into a makeshift living quarters for a number of families, with 4 or 5 people living together in each room, sleeping on mattresses on the floor.
We are from the Zaporizhia region, which is now occupied.
This family with small children told me that they travelled for 5 days to escape the bombing, sleeping in their car along the way. Their baby was born just as the war started, and so has spent all her life as a refugee. And yet, the people's spirits still remain strong.
For me, the most important thing is that they are healthy and live in peace without war. Well, I think maybe the Ukrainians will win. That's what we want.
Each person I meet tells me again and again that Ukraine will be victorious, including Polya Sarkisova. I first met Polya back in March when she was living in a refugee centre. Now she has returned to the capital to try and continue her studies. Why did you decide to come back?
Because I didn't want to stop my life and I wanted to continue living, and despite the fact it was very hard to continue working, living, studying and so on, I decided that the best decision for me was to continue the life.
What she finds most difficult to deal with is something I've been hearing a lot while in Ukraine. Families torn apart because of those who believe the war is justified and necessary.
The biggest pain is the relationship with my family who are on the occupied territories.
This is your father?
Mm-hmm. We just stopped communicating.
He believes the war is justified?
Yes, justified, and we need to be rescued. So kind of hard for me, it's personal, my own pain.
The Catholic Church here in Ukraine is trying to do everything it can to support its country. Father Zinovai Korkavai is the priest here and has the difficult task of trying to give spiritual relief to people at a time of war.
I thank God that maybe the war has united the Ukrainian people. Well, I want to say that the church plays a critical role. It heals wounds that the whole of Ukraine is suffering from today. Children, families, communities and soldiers. And as the Apostle Paul tells the Jews, weep with those who weep, mourn with those who mourn, rejoice with those who rejoice. And we, together with the whole world, will be able to defeat the enemy, who is causing a lot of suffering, pain and wounds in Ukraine today.
The people of Ukraine now face a very harsh winter, and with power cuts, lack of supplies and the ongoing war, things are going to be tough. But yet, as you've seen, their spirit and determination remains unbroken, even in the face of such uncertainty. In Ukraine, Colm Flynn, EWTN News In Depth.